Are you exhausted by constantly pouring your energy into people, places, or problems that only seem to drain you? Do you ever feel like you're stuck in a never-ending loop, giving your all only to receive confusion, stress, or emptiness in return? You're not broken. You're not weak. You're just spending your energy in the wrong stalls of life's marketplace. And today we're going to explore a different way to live. A powerful Stoic way inspired by Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus that starts with one radical idea. Not everything deserves your energy. Picture life as a grand, sprawling marketplace. Each stall you pass is calling out for your attention, your job, your relationships, your ambitions, even your social media feed. Your basket, the time, attention, and energy you carry, is limited. You can't fill it with everything, and yet many of us try. We linger at stalls that sell us cheap comfort or hollow praise. We invest in relationships that leave us empty. We try to please people who would never offer us peace in return. The Stoics remind us, this is not because life is short, but because we waste so much of it. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." What if you could reclaim your time? What if you could choose to walk away? Some stalls glow with warmth and nourishment. Conversations that uplift, relationships that challenge you to grow, passions that ignite your soul. These are the fertile patches of your garden. But other stalls are like black holes, filled with gossip, complaints, drama, or manipulation. They don't feed you. They feed on you. You walk away from these not because you're heartless, but because you're wise. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." So ask yourself, is this situation within my control? Is this relationship aligned with my values? Is this interaction worth the limited energy I have? Most importantly, does this stall nourish me or deplete me? Walking away is not weakness. It's protection. It's strategy. It's discipline. You don't need to slam the table or make a dramatic exit. Sometimes the most powerful statement you can make is silent, still, firm. You shift your focus, you stop replying, you don't engage, and just like that, you reclaim hours, days, even years of wasted life. Imagine carrying a basket through that marketplace again, but this time you're discerning. You pause before reaching for something. You ask, will this feed me or empty me? You no longer feel guilty for saying no. You no longer explain your choices to people who only listen to argue. You walk with purpose. You select with care. You fill your basket with clarity. This is the first lesson in the Stoic art of walking away. Not everything, or everyone, deserves your energy. You don't owe your presence to those who only want your silence. You don't owe your attention to things that hijack your peace. And you don't owe your power to people who wouldn't lift a finger for your healing. Walking away is how you say, my peace is non-negotiable, my energy is sacred, my time is precious. Choose the stalls in your marketplace with intention. Step away from what robs you. Step toward what roots you. This is your life, your energy, your sacred basket. Fill it with what matters. Walk away from what doesn't. And remember, the strongest people aren't the ones who fight every battle. They're the ones who know which battles aren't worth their time. In a world that constantly demands more of your time, more of your energy, more of your soul, it can feel like setting boundaries is selfish, as if saying no means you're cold, difficult, or even heartless. But the truth is the opposite. Setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's the highest form of self-respect. Life is a dance, and like any great dance, it requires rhythm, space, mutual respect. Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. One of those things is how others react to your boundaries. The Stoics weren't passive, they were precise. They believed in living according to nature, and that includes your nature, what you need, what you value, and what you simply won't tolerate anymore. There will be people who don't like your boundaries. They'll try to guilt you, to confuse you, to convince you that your standards are too high, that your silence is rude, that your distance means you're not loyal. But let's be clear. You don't owe your peace to people who shatter it. You don't owe your energy to those who consume it. And you don't owe your access to anyone who abuses the privilege. Let's redefine boundaries. Not as walls to keep people out, but as doors that you get to choose when to open and to whom. Boundaries are not about pushing people away. They're about protecting the version of you that took years to build, the you that finally knows what's acceptable, what's draining, what's healthy, what's not. Imagine you're cultivating a garden. Your mind, your peace, your passions, they grow there. But what happens when someone constantly tramples over your plants? What if they bring weeds and leave trash every time they visit? You wouldn't hesitate to protect your garden. Why hesitate to protect your life? That's what boundaries are. They're not rejection. They're preservation. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say, or think, or do. Only what you do. When you stop trying to please everyone and start respecting yourself, that's when you start to live in peace. You stop over-explaining. You stop apologizing for your space. You stop negotiating with people who never had your best interest in mind. And sometimes, the most powerful boundary you can set is to walk away. Not in anger, not in rage, but with quiet, clear conviction. This isn't where I'm meant to be. This isn't who I'm meant to become. Here's what happens when you begin setting real boundaries. You reclaim your time. You protect your peace. You give your energy only to those who earn it. And slowly, the right people begin to appear. Because the wrong ones can no longer stay. Boundaries don't push people away. They filter the ones who never truly valued you in the first place. Let's clarify something. You are not selfish for saying no. You are not wrong for needing space. You are not cruel for prioritizing your well-being. You are wise. You are awake. You are finally listening to yourself. And that is the beginning of walking in your power. So when you feel guilty for stepping away, when someone accuses you of being cold, remember, you didn't walk away to hurt them. You walked away to honor you. Boundaries are how you teach the world to treat you. Walking away is how you remind the world you have the courage to enforce them. Say it with me. My peace is my responsibility. My space is sacred. I no longer feel guilty for protecting it. This is the power of setting boundaries. This is the strength of walking away. We all crave it. That final message, that explanation, that one moment where it all makes sense and you finally feel resolved. But what if I told you something uncomfortable, yet liberating? Closure is not something you get. It's something you give. To yourself. You've replayed the scene 100 times in your head. The moment they walked away. The argument that left things hanging. The silence that still echoes in your mind. You've imagined what you'd say if given the chance. You've waited for that apology, that explanation, that closure. But Marcus Aurelius reminds us, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. In other words, stop waiting. Stop chasing peace from people who can't even make peace with themselves. Closure is not something they hand you like a receipt. It's something you unearth from within. It's a treasure hidden beneath the layers of your own introspection, your self-respect, your forgiveness, not of them, but of yourself. And here's the paradox of healing. Sometimes the person who hurt you, the person who walked away, the one who betrayed you, they're never going to say sorry. They may never admit they were wrong. They may never understand what they did. They may even be living their life, unbothered. So what now? You forgive anyway. You let go anyway. You walk forward anyway. Because holding on to that pain isn't punishing them, it's punishing you. Carrying resentment is like walking with a backpack full of stones. You can keep hiking, but every step hurts more. Until finally, you realize that no one's coming to take that weight off for you. You have to set it down yourself. You have to say, I don't need their apology. I don't need their understanding. I need my peace more than I need closure from them. There's a silent strength in walking away without the final word, in saying nothing, but meaning everything. Because the people who ghosted you, the opportunities that slipped away, the relationships that ended without explanation, they don't define your story. They are just chapters. And you are the author. You decide how the next chapter reads. Here's the truth they won't tell you. You're not weak for needing closure. You're human. But you become powerful when you realize you can give it to yourself. Not through vengeance, not through confrontation, but through intention. Closure comes in the quiet moments, in the whisper that says, I deserved better, and I still choose to move forward. It comes in treating yourself with the same kindness you begged from others. It comes in forgiving yourself for staying too long, for ignoring red flags, for loving someone who couldn't love you back in the way you needed. Forgiveness is not for them. It's a gift you give yourself. You do not need their apology. You do not need the past to explain itself. You only need this moment, this decision, this clarity. I choose peace. I choose growth. I choose me. That is the moment closure begins. That is the moment you walk away. Not because you're broken, but because you're finally whole enough to let go. So let this be the end of needing answers from broken places. Let this be the chapter where you close the door without slamming it. Let this be the silence that sets you free. Comfort is seductive. It wraps itself around you like a warm blanket. Familiar, safe, unthreatening. It tells you, stay here. You've got all you need. Don't risk it. But it forgets to mention one thing. Comfort is also a cage, and every day you stay locked in that cage, you forget that you were made to fly. We all have a version of that cottage, a place we go to avoid the unknown. For some, it's a relationship that feels predictable, even if it's unfulfilling. For others, it's a job they've long outgrown, but still cling to for security. Or maybe it's a set of routines and beliefs that feel too scary to challenge. But as Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, warned, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. When you walk away from your comfort zone, you're not just leaving something behind. You're stepping toward everything you've ever wanted, but were too afraid to chase. New passions, new people, new strength. But it starts with that first terrifying step. Let's be honest. Growth is uncomfortable. It demands that you challenge your assumptions. It forces you to face your fears. It asks you to say goodbye to who you were, so you can become someone greater. You'll stumble, you'll doubt, you'll feel exposed. But guess what? You're not supposed to have it all figured out. You're supposed to walk anyway. This is where the magic happens. In the space between certainty and chaos. Between who you've been and who you're about to become. That's where you meet your potential. Not in your routines, not in your comfort, but in the wild, unpredictable, uncomfortable, unknown. Growth might mean walking away from what you've outgrown, that draining friendship, that soul-numbing job, that belief that you're not good enough, that version of yourself that's always shrinking to fit. It means stepping into rooms where you're not the smartest person. It means asking questions, failing forward, showing up scared but committed. And it means choosing expansion over safety every single time. Remember when you were a child? Everything was unfamiliar. Everything was new. But you didn't let fear stop you then. You fell. You got back up. You kept moving. So why stop now? Why tell yourself that growth is only for the young? The soul never retires. It only grows bored. Every step away from comfort is a step toward discovery. And yes, it's going to challenge you. Yes, it might hurt. But what's the alternative? Living your life on mute? Replaying the same day, the same fears, the same what-ifs forever? You deserve more than that. We often believe the cost of growth is too high. But have you ever considered the cost of staying the same? The dreams that never get chased. The joy that never gets felt. The love that never finds you because you stayed where it was safe. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. What you fear is often your greatest teacher. What you resist is the door to your next breakthrough. You're not weak for feeling afraid. You're only weak when you let fear decide for you. So here's your challenge. Take the step. Say yes to the discomfort. Say no to the limitations. Walk away from the life that asks you to stay small, and walk toward the one that dares you to expand. Because outside your comfort zone is your becoming. Let this be the chapter where you choose courage over comfort, where you walk into the unknown, not because it's easy, but because it's real. And in that reality, you grow. You want to help them. You want them to grow, to heal, to see themselves the way you see them. But no matter how much love, advice, or energy you pour in, they stay the same. It's heartbreaking, frustrating, and exhausting. And yet, the truth remains. You can't change people. You can only change yourself. We've all been there. Trying to fix a friend who refuses help. Trying to inspire a partner who isn't ready to evolve. Trying to pull someone out of a darkness they don't want to leave. We mistake this effort for compassion. But often, it's control in disguise. And as Epictetus, the great Stoic philosopher, teaches, some things are up to us and some things are not. The Stoics called it the circle of control. Inside it, what you think, what you say, what you do. Outside it, what others feel, what they choose, what they become. When we try to control what's outside that circle, we suffer. Because no matter how noble our intentions, you can't force someone to bloom. But here's the shift. What if, instead of trying to fix someone else's garden, you turned inward and started cultivating your own? What if your energy went not into convincing others, but into becoming someone so radiant they feel inspired just by your presence? This isn't abandonment. This is leadership. Self-leadership is the most powerful tool you have. You can't change their mind, but you can clarify yours. You can't make them care, but you can protect your heart. You can't rewrite their story, but you can write a new chapter in your own, one where peace, not chaos, is your home base. Walking away from the need to fix others isn't cold. It's courageous. Because letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop carrying what was never yours to hold. It's realizing that your peace matters too, that your energy is sacred, that saving yourself doesn't make you selfish. Epictetus reminds us, don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do, and you will go on well. Accepting people as they are doesn't mean tolerating abuse, disrespect, or neglect. It means seeing reality clearly and choosing how you want to respond. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is walk away. You're allowed to leave the conversations that leave you drained. You're allowed to end the relationship that doesn't nourish you. You're allowed to walk away from the patterns that no longer reflect who you're becoming. Because choosing you is not a betrayal. It's a return to alignment, to self-respect, to truth. And something beautiful happens when you tend to your own soil. The weeds of resentment disappear. The roots of self-trust deepen. The blossoms of peace begin to unfold. And you realize you were never meant to save them. You were meant to save yourself. When you stop trying to change others, you start to truly change yourself. You become calmer, clearer, more resilient. And your example, not your words, becomes your influence. They may change, they may not, but either way, your peace is no longer dependent on their transformation. So walk away, not in anger, but in understanding. Not to punish, but to preserve. Not to abandon them, but to return to you. Because you can't change them, but you can change the story you tell yourself about what love is, about what peace costs, about what you're truly worth. And when you choose you, when you choose growth, when you choose clarity over chaos, you walk into a life that was waiting for you all along. Your life is a tapestry, woven with choices, moments, connections, pain, joy, and everything in between. Some threads strengthen you, others unravel your peace. But in the end, you decide what stays. And that's what this final lesson is about. Honoring your true self by walking away from what no longer serves you. Many of us wear masks. We stay in relationships we've outgrown, jobs that kill our spirit, friendships that drain us, because we're afraid. Afraid of disappointing others, afraid of being judged, afraid of being alone. But Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." You don't owe anyone a performance. You owe yourself the truth. When you walk away from who you're expected to be, you walk toward who you truly are. That takes bravery, because it means shedding illusions, letting go of attachments, facing uncomfortable truths. It means saying, "This is who I am. This is what I value. This is what I will no longer tolerate." Walking away is not always dramatic. It can be as simple as no longer explaining yourself, as quiet as turning down an invitation, as sacred as protecting your morning peace. It's the decision to no longer shrink yourself to fit into spaces that suffocate you. True self-honor begins in solitude, in stillness, where the noise fades and your inner voice grows louder. Who are you when no one is watching? What dreams have you silenced to keep others comfortable? What desires have you buried beneath obligation and guilt? Stoicism teaches that virtue is enough, that you are enough. You've been carrying the weight of expectations, disappointments, shame, but there's a part of you, untouched by any of it. Your core, your essence, your truth. And it's time to return. Not with fanfare, not for anyone else's applause, but quietly, steadily, powerfully, by choosing what aligns and walking away from what doesn't. Honor isn't loud. It's not performative. It's the act of leaving the party early when the energy turns. It's refusing to argue your worth. It's choosing to build something real even if no one notices at first. You don't owe anyone access to your peace, and you don't need permission to change. You're allowed to evolve, allowed to rest, allowed to heal, and yes, you're allowed to walk away. Every time you walk away from something that violates your values, you stitch a golden thread into your life. Every no that protects your energy, every boundary, every moment of self-trust, it adds color, it adds strength, it adds you, the real you. This isn't just about walking away from others, it's about walking away from the version of yourself that settled, the version that tolerated too much, betrayed themselves too often, forgot how powerful they were. You are not here to endure life. You are here to live it, fully, authentically, unapologetically. And that begins with walking away, so you can finally return. This is your new beginning, not because you changed the world, but because you finally changed your relationship with yourself. So let the world think you gave up. Let them wonder why you left. Let them question your silence. They don't need to understand, because you understand now. You know who you are. You know what you're worth. And you know that walking away wasn't an escape. It was a return to yourself, to your power, to the life you were always meant to live.